Gedatsu priest tip.
Lord Gedatsu, no one can hear you if you don't say your thoughts out loud.
How careless!
We've got 7 crew members here to have an adventure. Cross the Grand Line with you.
Woohoo!
We'll cross the Grand Line and have a grand time as we make our dreams come true.
Yeah!
We'll ride the knock-up stream to achieve our dreams. Together we watch season 3.
Yeah! Ba-da-ba-bow, start the show. Hello, fellow adventurers of the White Sea, and welcome to episode 57 of King of the What Now. We are a podcast that discusses the One Piece anime from the very beginning. I'm your host, Joel, longtime fan of the series, and I am a chef who fearlessly protects the crew from God without asking a single question. Curtis, you can't chew on your lip. You gotta talk out loud if you want us to understand you.
Oh, how careless of me! I'm just a very stupid priest, apparently. Also, I am Curtis, and I'm the co-host of this podcast, and a One Piece novice.
And I'm Kat, I'm the ghost of the show, and I am a snake with a terrible case of sky indigestion.
Interesting. I wonder if there was a new food introduced into your diet that may have caused the problems.
You know, I did think my dinner was a little rubbery.
A little chewy, a little tough. All right. I don't remember if we mentioned this last week, but we were going to watch 5 episodes for today's episode, 171 through 175. Curtis, do you want to help remind us what happened if it's been a while since we've seen these episodes?
Yes. All right. So we begin. Luffy and Swiper duke it out, with Swiper showing off his new
There's no S.
It's just
Swiper is the Dora the Explorer character, and Wiper is the guy from...
Wait, what did I say?
Swiper, you said it twice.
Mike, I put an S in here, that's why.
Luffy fights a fox.
Who keeps swiping his hat.
Let me fix my notes so I don't do that again. Okay, so Luffy and Wiper duke it out, with Wiper showing off his burn bazooka. The battle ends when a mysterious creature appears. Luffy soon finds himself in a new location surrounded by ruins, gold, and death. Meanwhile, Usopp stands up to Eneru, who has already fried but not killed our favorite chef. Unfortunately, he meets the same fate as Eneru, the same fate at Eneru's electric hands. Eneru leaves after teasing Gonfall for his ignorance of gold. Soon
what is gold anyways?
You know, what is its true value?
Absolutely.
What is love?
Baby, don't hurt me. Go on.
I was waiting for you to start singing.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Sorry, folks. So after Eneru leaves, Satori's younger brothers, whose names I have forgotten.
Kotori and Hotori. Ho ho! Oh ho!
Yes, I'll leave Joel to do those impressions. They appear, and they seek to avenge their fallen brother's death. Gonfall and Nami prepare to battle the two and defend the unconscious Usopp and Sanji. Meanwhile, where's Luffy? Then Robin examines some ruins and exposits about the blank century of history before being confronted by the leader of the Divine Warriors, Yama,
yes.
Who has no respect for history. She proceeds to put herself between him and the ruins, which he's been punching and destroying.
Mm-hmm.
Chopper finds himself...
We go on a little philosophical...
Actually, he sits atop Sky Island and meditates.
Chopper proves himself to be a true pirate by defeating...
Gedatsu, the Sky Punk.
Thank you. I'll remember names one of these days.
I mean, he's already out of the story already, so I don't mind.
He's also the weakest and stupidest of the priests.
Yep.
And then we see Pagaya and Conus rescue a small child from a sky shark, and then they use her as a guide to find the Strawhat crew.
To be clear, this arc only has the one small child. It's Isis, the same small child that we saw earlier, obsessed with Verth.
Yes, exactly. And also, where's Luffy?
We haven't seen him. I mean, we see him, but he has no idea where he is, and he hasn't interacted with anyone else.
Precisely. And then it gets more. It builds and builds over the 5 episodes. Where is Luffy? Where is Luffy really? So Nami and Gonfall, they're on the ship. They tag team and defeat the 2 Wonder Twins. Actually, I don't know if they're twins, but the 2 brothers. And Nami uses Gonfall's impact dial to do the finishing blow.
Directly to the face.
Yes, it's very intense. Eneru reveals himself. He reveals his true self. He does not reveal himself.
He takes off his pants? Hello! God has no need of clothes.
He is perfection. Look upon it.
I like to believe that Eneru has a pretty tight butt, but I don't think that it's as tight as Smoker. Catherine, you are the resident expert on butts.
True.
Would you agree with that?
His pants are so billowy that you really can't get a feel for his butt, so I'm going to say you're probably correct. Smoker is willing to show that thing off.
Okay. And also, speaking of touching, you wouldn't want to touch Eneru's butt.
No.
You would get electrocuted.
Probably.
Or at least a little bit of static discharge there, right?
Don't say
frizzy
discharge.
hair.
I think
talking
that's
about
just
butts.
the chemistry.
So, anyways.
I apologize that it was a poop joke.
I'd be more surprised if it was a blueberry joke.
So we find out that Eneru is made out of lightning. I almost said lions.
Holy, that'd be scary too, though.
Oh my god.
But yeah,
Okay.
he fights Kamakiri.
Yes, and some other people. He electrocutes a lot of people in these episodes.
No, I wouldn't say that he fights the other ones. I think he just kind of eliminates them, whereas he gives Kamakiri a couple of seconds.
Yeah. So, like, basically, he finds out, he's like, there are 25 people left. I need to whittle that down to 5, and I have a few hours. Let's go around and shock people. So he does that. Also, where is Luffy? Just to add that back in there again, in case you've forgotten about him. He's still in an unknown cave. Robin, she concludes her fight with Yama, using her many hands to throw him over a cliff for his crimes against history. She then finds the city of gold beneath the clouds that are kind of covering it on the actual soil island.
Yep.
Eneru continues knocking people off, and then I have a note here. Seriously, where is Luffy?
Did you just write that throughout your notes every so often?
It's at the end of each episode.
Excellent.
So then, last episode, Chopper meets the final priest, Ohm. Ohm has the ordeal with a 0% survival rate, and Chopper does not change this.
Nope.
Meanwhile, Nami and Aiza run away from a giant snake and end up back in the forest on a waver.
On the most powerful waver of all, because it has a jet dial instead of a breath dial.
So fancy. And then Zoro falls from the sky after being carried by a giant south bird, and he arrives at the ordeal of iron along with Wiper, whose name I got correct this time, and Gonfall. And also a giant snake containing Luffy. There he is.
My goodness, yeah, and as Luffy decides, he eventually gets tired of being in this cave, so he's gonna punch his way out, and as he starts doing that, you see the snake getting really upset in real time. And when I was younger, I did not... There's clues, if you're kind of clever, and if you think about it, it makes sense that Luffy was eaten by the snake, but you don't get confirmation for a couple of episodes, and I didn't get that the first time I went through this arc.
Can I just say, I think the Robin fight is the best one we've had in this whole arc so far.
Okay, you're allowed to say that. I would counter with Zoro has a really awesome I have a cannon pointed straight at your head.
Yes, his monologue was super cool, but the fight in general was over pretty quickly, and there
that's
wasn't
true.
a lot of emotional weight to it. Whereas Robin, this directly reflects on her dreams, and the strength of her will in overcoming this foe is just really cool to watch.
Sorry.
I was going to say, I liked Robin, Nami, and Chopper's fights, because they were all... Well, not the last Chopper fight where he lost very quickly, but it was seeing some of the less powerful crew members all accomplish something in battle. It was very good.
Absolutely. The one thing, too, that I would point out is that we often have, whenever a new crew member shows up, they always do something super awesome to show their combat abilities. So the first time we see Nami interact with Luffy, she figures out how to use him in order to fight her opponents for her, and that's pretty smart. And we had Sanji fight the Iron Knuckle guy. What's his name? Iron Fist? No.
Baratier? That's the ship.
Full Body. Lieutenant Full Body.
That is his name. You're
Yeah.
correct.
But anyway, so you get a bunch of characters showing off, and this is actually the first time we've seen Robin in canon actually take on an opponent or whatever, and I agree that it was really good. And she had some good one-liners that I'd forgotten about.
Yeah. Listening to her talk about what history means was cool, because we know that history is important to her specifically, but also, like, the broader effect that the Void Century, which we'll get into later, has had on the world, I think kind of shapes her philosophy that it's foolish to destroy relics. You can't get them back.
Mm-hmm. I do want to point out, in case Curtis or anyone at home gets a little confused, in these episodes, Robin refers to a time period from 900 years ago as the Blank Century that will later be renamed the Void Century. So they are both synonyms for the same thing.
I figured.
It's kind of like how when Blackbeard showed up, we had a really hard time not saying, and then Blackbeard had a monologue with Luffy. No, it was Pirate Santa is what we called him.
No, that was the official name in the show. I'm pretty sure it was in the subtitles, yeah.
Okay. Do you think that there's any way that Yama survived that fall and all of the different damage that she was doing to him?
No, he dead.
I don't know if anyone dies in One Piece.
It is so hard to tell what's going on because, like, Robin says that her specialty is assassination, and we see her drop a guy off of a cliff. He has the axe dials turned against him. He's complaining about not being able to breathe.
She clutches him, which is like a spine-breaking attack.
Yeah, you hear, like, a snapping sound, but I'm pretty sure that Oda will later go on to say that none of the Straw Hats kill, so...
I wonder if that's just one of those things that Oda said that a lot of fans just kind of ignore.
Sure.
Like, I don't want to ignore most of the things Oda said, especially not about story things, but when it comes to who kills people and who doesn't, Robin kills people. Like, she just does.
And the other thing that kind of confuses me, on that same level of I thought that none of the Straw Hats killed, Hotari and Kotori specifically say, you killed our brother, even though, spoiler alerts, he's not dead. He's not going to come back. He's out for a while, but I'm pretty sure that we know the whereabouts of the priests at the end of this arc, and I don't think any of them are deceased.
Maybe they're just really stupid.
Okay, that could be it. Maybe they checked his right side, and they need to check the left side because that's where the heart is.
There you go. Alternatively, a lot of people think that this arc is kind of where One Piece really gets going, where it starts. And so I would say that maybe at this point in the story, Oda is still figuring out how he wants to write these characters and how he wants to handle discarded foes. Mm-hmm. And so maybe he did intend for people to die, and then later he was kind of like, you know what, that's boring. I'm not going to kill anyone.
I mean, if you kill your opponents and you don't have a Dragon Ball style way of bringing them back, how are you ever going to get the Yamcha and the Vegeta and the Piccolo and the Krillin of the One Piece universe? For those who did not watch Dragon Ball, those were all enemies that are main characters when Dragon Ball Z comes rolling around.
Some friends become enemies, some enemies become friends. No friends become enemies. It's shown in anime.
Maybe death means something different in the One Piece universe.
Oh, okay.
Maybe death is just really deeply asleep and knocked out.
Okay, yeah, I could agree with that. What if it's a spiritual death? What if Satori now does not believe in God that he had been worshiping previously, so he's going to wander...
Imagine that conversation. You know, he walks up to his fellow priests and he goes, I'm retiring as a priest. And they go, Satori, why? And also, what happened to your voice? And he goes, my voice went back to normal after I lost my belief in God. That's why I'm retiring. And they go, you lost your belief in God? How can you not believe in God? He's right there. He's there. And Satori goes, no, God doesn't exist. And they turn, and Eneru's standing there, and they go, literally, just turn around. No, I have to go now.
That is so wonderful. But let's talk about the priest that got more of a spotlight in these 5 episodes, Skypunk Gedatsu. Does anyone here want to try and claim that he is their favorite of the priests?
I was going to say, do we have to talk about Gedatsu? So I think that kind of sums up my feelings.
I think he's interesting. He's good for an episode, not multiple episodes.
I just can't believe that Eneru employs him at all as a subordinate.
I feel like anybody could do what he does with the clouds and the swamps and stuff. Like, it's not, he doesn't have some power. He has special things on his boots that let him get out of the swamp, but other people can't get out of the swamp.
What if he's like related to one of the other priests?
He got in.
He's Ohm's stupid younger brother.
Yeah, and Eneru's like, do we have to hire him? And Ohm's like, come on, man. I promised my parents that I'd get my brother a job.
So we found out in these episodes that all of the priests, all of the goat people, formerly worked for Gonfall. And so I wonder if...
No.
Yeah.
No.
Because Gonfall and Eneru had a conversation about it.
What? No. No. The invaded.
They had something about, like... He was like...
He was like, all my warriors being used as slaves.
Yeah, the ones that... You know what the slaves were working on. They didn't fight. The
goat people are separate?
Yeah?
Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe I misinterpreted that conversation then. Okay.
Gonfall says he invaded with his powerful priests, and it shows their shadows or whatever.
I saw Kotori and Hotori and saw that they looked like the goat people, and I assumed they were all related. And so,
the goat people didn't work for Gonfall either. We have not seen a single person who worked under Gonfall yet, other than Gonfall and his horse Pierre.
Okay.
Oh, so when Gonfall was talking about all the people, like
Yeah, because Eneru said something about the Divine Warriors now working for him, and Gonfall was like, oh no, my Divine Warriors are slaves, and so I assumed that Eneru's Divine Warriors were formerly Gonfall's. Sounds like Curtis made the same assumption.
Too.
It's okay.
I think they're all dead. Like, spoiler, I'm pretty sure that he's going to be like, all of them were killed.
Oh. See, yeah, no, I'm super confused now, too, because
Well...
Okay.
I guess...
Sorry. Where are we going to cut back in? Because I think you started that with, we also found out that all of the priests worked under Eneru.
I assumed this was all going to go on. I think this is an interesting conversation. We're working our way through things that might have confused other people.
This is like therapy among ourselves.
Well,
anyway.
you have to blurt out some of the spoilers.
Yeah.
I was going to say that maybe Gedatsu was grandfathered in because he had worked for Gonfall, but that's wrong, so I don't know why he's there. Maybe he and Eneru were childhood friends, and when Eneru ascended to God, he was like, you know what? My buddy is real dumb, but I'm bringing him up with me.
One time there was a guy who was picking on me when I claimed that I was God at the tender age of 8, and they knocked my lunchbox out of my hands, but Gedatsu, he picked it up and handed it back to me, and ever since that
don't
day,
you be rude to God.
Yeah, he believed in me like no one else ever had. Oh my god, Gedatsu is the Usopp of the Eneru pirates?
Actually, at first he said, I had to remind him to open his mouth, and then he stood up for me.
I do have to ask, who has a more annoying gag, Satori or Gedatsu?
Gedatsu.
Yeah?
I despise Gedatsu. Gedatsu literally killed one of his allies because he's too stupid to be able to aim the weapon that he himself chose to use in battle. Are you kidding me? Once the battle started in earnest, he was a little bit better. Like, he seemed to have, like, some kind of a switch, or maybe he's more battle savvy than he is book smart, but he is the first character to make me not believe in this world. He breaks my suspension of disbelief because no one is that stupid.
I would say if it's just the gag, I prefer Gedatsu over Satori, but the character as a whole, like, I would rather have some character that's as intimidating as Sadatsu, but with the whole, like, oh, I forgot to open my mouth to talk, or I have my eyes rolled in the back of my head and I can't see anyone. Then, like, the actual, all the time. Like, that gets a little old.
That's fair. Also, talking about Gedatsu, I really liked Chopper's use of brain point as he's falling from the sky. Like, I just gotta hang on for a couple more seconds, just gotta find a weakness. Aha! His foot! That was cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. Again, I didn't get the impression that he was able to defend himself in Brainpoint, so he specifically was in the air where his opponent had the advantage and decided to lower his defenses to look for a weak spot. And maybe I might have misread the situation. I don't think he understood that the foot was the weakness until later. Like, I thought it was when he was defeated that he kind of, like, through a broken eye was able to be like, oh, is that the answer?
It was like, so I think he was just finished. I guess he wasn't in Brainpoint mode. It was like, so he did Brainpoint. He got hit. He was on the ground immediately after getting hit. He looked up and saw his foot and he said, that's it. That's the weak point. So my impression was it was the very tail end of, like, he just got it in right at the end.
Very end. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Curtis, how did you like the fight? You said that you enjoyed him and Nami and Robin all having their moments.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I just thought it was good that they had, like, the non-fighters all fighting and they incapacitated the normal fighters. With Zoro just kind of, like, meandering his way around. Sanji and Usopp are both KO'd right now.
Electrified.
And Luffy has been eaten by a giant snake. It's so you were left with, like, you know, the weaker, non-fighters,
the lower tier members.
And I thought, especially, like, Chopper's, I thought was more meaningful because, like, we've seen Nami fight someone. I guess we've seen Chopper fight someone, haven't we?
Yeah, he made a debut fighting Chess Marimo.
Oh, that's
of the
right.
Drum Kingdom.
But, like, to see him, I mean, I understand it's, like, the weakest of the priests, but, like, to see him take on, like, one of these 4 big bad guys on his own was impressive. I
find it interesting because in his first arc that we met him in, on Drum Kingdom, he was like, I'm going to fight for the castle. I'm going to fight for Dr. Hiruluk's flag. I'm going to fight for Dr. Kureha. And then he, in Alabasta, he fought no problem with Usopp against the Mole Lady and the Mr. Four. And now all of a sudden he's like, hang on, can I even do this without Luffy and the others around? I'm a burden on them, even though they left him in charge of the ship. Now, maybe it's possible that they left him on the ship because they wanted to give, like, the child something to do and make him feel important. So, yeah, you stay here and protect the ship, big guy. So maybe there's a little bit of reading between the lines, but because Chopper's been shown to be so gullible, if they did try to trick him with that kind of logic, it should have worked, and he never should have realized, oh, they think I'm useless. Also, none of them think that he's useless. I don't enjoy Chopper's character growth in this arc, and I feel like a lot of times he learns the same lessons over and over again.
That's fair.
Sorry, not to interrupt you, Curtis, but I feel like we already have a character whose arc is learning to be stronger and rely on his own strength.
And it's Zoro.
Yep.
He learned how to cut through steel. That's definitely getting stronger.
It's Zoro. No, it's Usopp. And I don't need another Usopp. Years and years before I actually watched this show, I had a passable understanding of the characters, and anytime it came up, I went, oh yeah, Usopp is the worst. And everybody would go, why would you say that? And I would go, I haven't seen the show. I just know that he complains a lot. And that's still basically how I feel, except now Usopp's not the worst. Chopper's the worst because he's like a second Usopp, but worse at being Usopp.
Yeah, no offense to anyone, you know, who's their favorite Strawhat is Chopper. His goal is, he wants to cure all disease. That's an amazing, magnanimous goal. His backstory with Kureha and Hiruluk are touching. I just feel like a lot of the times his battle in the Battle Shonen is kind of weaker. And honestly, I think I'd kind of prefer him be a little bit more like the Nami and the Usopps of the group, where he has to kind of outthink his opponent. But he's just strong enough that it's not pure brain. It's also a little bit of physical strength, too.
Yeah. I think we've mentioned before on Mike that neither Joel or I have ever been big fans of the child character in any given show that we watch, and that's Chopper, which is fun. Mm-hmm. It's just not for us.
The Nami fight was also good.
Yes, absolutely.
I really liked that one. One, because she just stood up and was like, I'm going to fight, as opposed to, like, having to be backed into a corner. And she made good use of the weapon that she had.
Yes.
I think, then Gonfall trusted her with the gauntlet at the end. It was very... I appreciated the fact that she got to deal the final blow to the remaining guy. That was nice.
One of my favorite things in One Piece is combo attacks, and here it was. We got a God Gonfall Nami combo attack. So I was into it.
And that, So I remember a lot of the general beats of a lot of arcs. I don't remember some of the specifics of the Sky Island arc. So when there was they used a combination of the flavor dial with gas in it and then a fire dial or flame dial, whatever it's called, to create an explosion. And I'd forgotten that, like a badass, Gonfall dodged that and was just like, what a childish, and just stabs him with the goddamn spear.
So mad about the farts in the flavor dial. That joke actually slayed me. I actually laughed out loud for like 5 solid minutes at, I stored a fart in the flavor dial. Ho-ho!
So you're saying right here and right now that the fart dial was more effective on you than it was on Gonfall or Nami?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Also, I've just from what I'm hearing, that apparently is your favorite joke in all of One Piece so far.
You know, it might actually be. Have I laughed harder at anything else so far?
Oh, I'm not sure. Some of the banter maybe, but I can't think of one off the top of my head.
So it's official then.
Okay, that's the funniest joke. And this doesn't frustrate me on any level. P.S. viewers, listeners, I got it right on the second try. At least I didn't call them readers. But body humor jokes, really not my thing at all. When Catherine said he didn't like that, she wasn't talking about Eneru. She was talking about me. But you know
the god of the podcast.
Yes, absolutely. You shall all bow before me. The other thing, too, is Nami doesn't hesitate before Eneru, right? She sees that Usopp and Sanji have been taken out, and she goes, I have to protect them because they protected me, which, first off, is adorable. I love that. But second of all, even Usopp, who is, I would say, even more cowardly than Nami, even less likely to jump into a fight, he also somewhat fearlessly stood up after Sanji was taken out. His legs were shaking, but he threatened God. He threatened a guy that just one-shotted one of the strongest members of the crew, and he stood up anyways. That's awesome.
My favorite part of that is that he did it in a very Usopp way. He didn't say, I'm gonna kick your ass, like Luffy would have said, or Zoro. He said, my 5,000 followers are going to kick your ass, so you better get out of here. And I really appreciate that even when he's being brave, it's still Usopp-flavored bravery.
Mm-hmm.
I will say Nami didn't stand up to Eneru. She stood up to the twins.
Oh, yeah, that
brothers.
is absolutely true.
Eneru had left by then.
Yeah, like she covered her mouth and didn't say anything when Eneru said not to say anything.
I think, yeah.
But that's fair at that point. Like, after he's fried 2 of them, it's like at that point you're like, okay.
And it was an instant shot. Like, Usopp had no way of dodging that as far as we can tell. And Eneru makes a point of saying, I can run as fast as or I can move as fast as lightning.
Yeah.
So,
and it was also the smart move because it left her so she could take care of the 2 of them afterwards, right?
Yes, absolutely. Before we go any further, I think it's time that we move into our world famous ad segment. That's right, world famous.
Boom, chicka boom, chicka boom, chicka boom.
Ad.
Those of you at home have probably noticed by this point that we here at King of the What Now have not actually advertised for the same product multiple weeks in a row. We want to keep everything fresh and exciting. We don't want to seem like we're the snake ball people. We're not the cherry sword people. You know, we offer a variety of products and we believe in a variety of services.
But man, I wish we were the cherry sword people.
The cherry...
Oh, that's a lucrative deal.
Is it a sword made out of cherries, or is it a sword that tastes like cherries, or
cherry flavored sword?
It's
okay.
Yeah, it's cherry flavored. When you're holding it, you get the sensation of cherries in your mouth.
Okay. And it gives you +3 fruitiness.
Yeah, and then when you smite someone, the last thing they notice is a general sensation of cherries.
Interesting. Okay. But anyways, we have decided to turn in our honor and our dignity and our integrity. We are officially cashing in. Selling out is the phrase I'm looking for. We have entered a 10-episode deal with Plorgs Mablorgs. He is the nephew of... He's the nephew of Goofy Shoots, the man who has directed two of the movies that we've talked about. And he had heard us talking about his uncle so fondly, so highly praising him, that he was like, you know what? I'm going to let these guys help advertise my new webcomic series, The Adventures of Blorf. This is a new webcomic that has just hit shelves. I mean, it's a webcomic, so it's on the internet. But it's a new series brought to you from a very creative mind, centered around the hero Blorf. And Catherine, you were able to read the first couple of chapters. Can you...
I was, and let me tell you, it was honestly so compelling.
Okay.
All right, so our hero Blorf, at the beginning, he's just your standard farm boy,
Okay.
right? There's nothing special about him at all. But then a meteor falls and he gets tinglies in his fingers and he becomes this superhero character. And so he sets off to find the great city so he can challenge the Dark One. And that's where chapter 3 ends. He just left the city.
Okay. I liked his use of the many different colors. I don't know how he does it, but he brings in colors that you've never even heard of. He has fustachios in there and ruva javas, and he sends it out every Plor's Day. It's incredible how much detail and intricacy goes into this webcomic. Curse, what was your first impressions of the first couple of chapters that he released to us?
Well, I thought it was a really brave choice to do the whole thing in rhyming couplets.
Mm-hmm.
It was at least for the first chapter. I noticed the second one he changed it up a bit and went for like a kind of a...
Yeah, like an AABA rhyme structure kind of thing.
Could you share one of his masterfully written couplets with our listeners?
Yeah, give me a minute. Let me find one.
So we're just going to scroll through here, and he was dancing on the rain. He was feeling so much pain. That is, of course, immediately after he was imbued with the special powers that allowed him to...
And it came on a rainy day, too.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's so great because you think you've heard this story before. Oh, it's a farm boy who turns out that he's the special one. But not only is he the special one, he gets invited to a school that's divided into 6 different factions, but it turns out he's a member of the 7th faction. How crazy is that? And his mom is actually a descendant of the ancient race, and his dad is from the future, but is also his evil uncle. What?
How? Are there love triangles?
There are so many love triangles that you can make a love pyramid out of it. All right? There are love triangles for love triangles. It's like the Triforce of love triangles here.
This is just an incredible piece of work. Everybody needs to read it at once. Joel, where can we find this webcomic again? Can you remind our listeners?
You can go to Google and you can search in Plorgs Mablorg's Adventure of Blorf. And if you need help with spelling that, that's Plorg Mablorg BLORF.
And bingo had a name-o.
Perfect.
Wait. Joel, can you spell that one more time for our listeners in case they didn't catch it the first time?
Plorgs Mablorgs. PLORGS. That's the first name. M-A... Maglorbs? Is that what I said? Plorgs Maglorbs. Right?
Maglorbs.
M-A-B-L-O-R-B-S.
Wait. M-A...
B-L-O-R-B-S.
Oh, okay.
Mablorbs. Plorgs Mablorbs. And the Adventures of Plorf. P-L-O-R-F.
Blorf.
Blorf. B-L-O-R-F. Now, if you try typing that into Google right now, it might try to autocorrect Plorgs Mablorbs Blorf to Porgs Blorbs Blorf. That is absolutely not correct. Turn off your autocorrect. And use your imagination in order to find this secret entry.
Also, you are going to have to turn safe search off because it gets spicy.
And if you were like me and you search this and you find a long list of places where you can get student loans, you're welcome if you're looking for student loans. Also, verify that they're legitimate places and that they offer good deals. We do not endorse any of those websites.
Yes, only trust content brought to you by Plorgs Mablorbs and the Adventures of Plorf. Plorf. Oh, God.
Wait,
Are we even going to get paid for this? You've mangled the name of his masterpiece.
Is it Blorf or Plorf? I have Plorf.
Okay, apparently it's Blorf.
He just changed it, folks.
This is a crazy webcomic that not only has a non-linear path, but it has a non-linear path throughout time. Issue 7, even though there's only 3 chapters out, came out 3 months ago. It's crazy. And we now return you to your regularly scheduled podcast episode.
Real quick, do you want a fun fact?
Go ahead.
Porgs only exist because they couldn't get rid of the puffins on set. And so they had to put something in their place.
I'd heard of that.
And welcome back from that fantastic advertisement.
Advertisements! Oh!
Curtis, are we a metal podcast now?
I don't know.
We a One Piece podcast.
I felt it in my soul, and it had to come out.
That's what
fair.
happens when you read The Adventures of Blorf.
The ad is over, Joel. You can stop. You've won. Earlier, we talked a little bit about the blank century or the void century, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just really intrigued by this piece of world building. Curtis, you're a newbie or a novice now to the series. What are your thoughts?
I am very curious to see what this is. It could be a couple things. You could be like the Dark Ages of the One Piece world, right?
Okay.
Like maybe it's a century where
They were too busy stabbing each other to be able to actually
Like,
get any history done.
there was a great fall of an empire or something, and like things were shit for a while, and then it got better, but nobody wrote anything down for a century, sort of thing.
We know they have monarch meetings. Maybe that's their version of the United Nations, and it formed at the end of this 100 years of war
could
or whatever.
Another thought I had was that maybe it's something that the world government is trying to suppress, kind of like a Tiananmen Square in China sort of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It would be. I'm very curious to see what it ends up being, because I think it's going to tie a lot into the greater lore of One Piece.
Absolutely. Do you think Robin has a personal connection to it somehow, or do you think her interest is purely scientific, scholarly?
I think it's both. I think she probably has a personal interest in it, because how else do you become the only person who can read the poneglyphs? It sounds like something that would be passed down, right? Like a skill that would be passed down generation to generation within a family.
Mm-hmm.
Or if not a family, like from teacher to student sort of thing.
Like a special clan of...
Yeah.
That's pretty interesting speculation.
Because, I mean, I don't...
How else do you learn lost knowledge?
Which, I mean, if that were the case, you'd think she'd be trying to find someone to teach it to, in case if she doesn't make it, right? Like, you'd think you'd want a backup plan, and she seems like she's pretty smart. It could just be that maybe she's the last of, like...
The bloodline of the Nico bloodline?
Yeah, like maybe there's a larger family and she's the only one left. Like something bad happened and everyone died. Or it could be that maybe she's from a city or a town or an island where everybody knew it and everybody died.
Or maybe you need like specific brain chemistry to make sense of it so she can't teach it to anybody else. I don't know if you read The Golden Compass, but there comes a point in the book where she looks at the compass and the symbols no longer make sense to her because she's lost her ability to read it. Could be something like that. If you have the ability, you look at the symbols on the poneglyph and they just make sense.
They just dance around and form new things. Here's obviously what happened, okay?
Okay.
Robin wants to know the true history. Not necessarily because she's a scholar, but because someone had a magic camera, which when you take the picture of someone, it sucks people into it, right? So it's like a Twilight Zone episode. They took a picture, Robin took a picture of her entire family, but she was the one taking the picture, so she wasn't in the shot.
Oh, no.
They all got sucked in, and the place they got sent to was the Void Century. So the only thing that she can do is solve the mystery, and by solving it, her family will come back.
That's awesome. That could be its own show.
I mean, her family was alive.
Exactly.
Somewhere.
They're still alive in stasis. That's what I'm saying, you know? And then there's also, like, the implications of, well, if she sent them back in time, can they affect history and somehow send messages to her? And that's actually what we're going to find out in the next arc.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm sorry for spoiling that. Now, alternatively, maybe there was an old guy who was writing down, yes, now it's time to complete the world's history. And he was writing in this book, and he spilled his coffee on it, and he went, oh, no! And now it's just, that's what the Void Century was.
All right. You ready for a crack theory? This is going to blow your mind. The poneglyphs are cubes. Where else have we seen cubes? Answer, when Robin was cutting her way down into the city, looking for the city of gold. Therefore, Robin comes from a long line of cube crafters.
Ah.
And their lost technique of cube crafting is how the poneglyphs were made.
So she makes blocks?
She makes blocks on blocks.
Do they build things with these blocks?
I think they might.
Is she from the Minecraft universe?
Is she? Is there Minecraft in One Piece?
I think so.
The mystery deepens. Ooh, wee, ooh.
I have a theory now.
Okay.
Just
Since we're giving out some crack theories.
Yeah, just follow me along for this journey.
Are you guys not taking this seriously? Because I really think that old guy is going to show up in like 800 episodes.
I was super proud of how seriously Curtis took his first theory. I think we owe him a chance to be silly.
Yeah, no,
This is like half
Sorry,
serious.
I was trying to be funny.
Okay. I'm still 100% committed to my idea that this is in the future in a post-apocalyptic world, okay?
Was 800 years ago when it happened?
I think so.
Okay.
I think the Void Century started, so we had a normal world. The Sea Kings descended from space or something, or appeared from another dimension.
And obviously brought the devil fruits with.
Yeah, brought the devil fruits with them.
Pacific Rim, I dig it.
And just like wrecked the planet, like chopped up, like sunk continents. And so now that's all that's left is like a bunch of islands and, you know, the weird red line and all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they made this oceanish world the way it is by their appearing. Or maybe it was like the devil, right? Because the devil fruit is like supposed to be a part of like the sea devil or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And like that, he came and he wrecked the world, and then that century is like the transition period.
I love this, actually. Like, unironically, I think this is great. What if the red line is just the spine of some massive Ouroboros sea king? It ate its own tail and it died there.
What if they're living on it? They're just living on a dead animal, a dead space whale.
What if the red line does not completely go around the planet as we suspect, but there's like an edge on either end and you fall off the planet and it's just a mohawk of a giant space head floating through the ether?
Well, Joel, I don't think it wraps around, but that's because it's a flat world.
Oh, okay,
That's why freaking, not Gedatsu, not, what is his name?
Who, Zoro?
Vest man Mohawk boy, the Shandorian.
Oh, Kamakiri.
Kamakiri, thank you. We keep wanting to call him other things. That's why he has a mohawk. He is one of the only people who knows to pay homage to this great being.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. And with that, I think we're good to kind of move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think we've covered these theories pretty intensely.
I don't know. I haven't talked about the alien. Oh, no, I already talked about the aliens. Yeah, I think we're good.
Curtis, are you tired?
But, you know, speaking of Kamakiri and him fighting Eneru, how did you like that? Before the reveal of what Eneru's fruit was, when he, like, tried to stab Eneru and it showed it going through his head and all that other good stuff.
I already had hunches about what his ability was, that he was lightning. That's how he teleported around in that. It didn't... The fact that it happened didn't surprise me, but it was just a very, like... It's weird just to see this spear sticking through his head, and he just kind of sits there and doesn't react to it at all. He's just like, yeah, I got a spear through my head. What about it? Like, this is normal. And he gets cut in half. He's like, this is normal.
Yeah, he could just... I wonder if that actually hurts. Like, I wonder if someone like a Logia were surprised and attacked from behind with, like, a knife, and do they have a moment of, oh god, it hurts, and then they turn into fire or smoke or lightning or whatever? Or is it automatic? I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember. Did we ever figure out if you surprise one of them? If like, can you punch
Luffy
Smoker?
hit Smoker from behind when he rocketed that one time and surprised him.
Yeah, so I'm guessing that... I guess Eneru would just have to be constantly paying attention to where people are at. Mm-hmm. You could probably overwhelm him with numbers if you didn't get shocked.
Yes.
Like, you'd have to sneak up on him with an overwhelming force.
Yeah. And I mean, if you had like a ring around him, right, and everyone was shooting at him, he wouldn't wait until he knew where the attacks were coming from. He would just teleport away or turn his entire body into electricity. Yeah. So, I'm a little worried. I don't know how Luffy's going to fight this guy.
You know who could beat him?
Who's that?
A really good sniper.
Oh, there you go.
You know who could beat him?
Who?
Team Rocket. They have experience dealing with electric-based attacks.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Well, they have experience being attacked with electric-based attacks. I don't know how they've ever successfully...
There have been a couple of episodes
yeah,
where they put on like special electricity-proof suits and stuff. They've never successfully captured him, but they have survived his attacks.
Oh my god, Luffy's made of rubber!
What? When did that happen?
Yo ho ho! He took a bite of gum gum.
Okay, so how do you think those are going to play out against each other?
He's a resistor.
Okay.
Like, both metaphorically and literally. He wouldn't be able to get shocked, right? He's definitely not a very good conductor. He wouldn't be able to lead a musical orchestra or anything.
Taking this in another direction, could you, I'm not an engineer or an electrician, but could you over-conduct Eneru? Like, could you set up some kind of crazy lightning, I don't know what they're called, lightning probes or whatever?
Like a lightning rod or something?
Yeah, like a lightning rod, and it guides him down into, like, the ocean, and he
goes to punch you, and all of a sudden he just swings to the side. What the hell? He gets absorbed into, like, a magnet or something.
I think he has too much control over it, right? Otherwise, if he didn't have control over the lightning, it just went, like, if it was just looking to complete a circuit, looking for the path of least resistance, then I would say yeah. But
I think he can control when he turns into lightning, but I don't know how much control he has while he is lightning. But probably a lot, because it's One Piece.
You take a bucket,
okay,
fill it with cloud water, and you dump it on his head like he just won a football game and he's the coach, and he just short circuits. He goes... I'm sorry to have spoiled the climactic battle with Luffy and his bucket, but
the adventures of Luffy and his bucket, coming soon to an AMC near you.
He still has some of the water left over from Alabasta.
Yeah, that water saves him for every battle going on forward.
Oh my gosh, can you imagine if he was still carrying around that little, like, water thing that the old man gave him? The old man gave this to me. Someday we'll meet each other again, and I'll give it back to him.
He gets to the very end, and the final boss is the old man.
Doing his shovels.
Yeah. No, at this point, he's now gotten to 6. He has one in either hand, one in his mouth like Zoro, one taped to each foot, and then one on his back that he kind of like has to do like a Sonic the Hedgehog roll in order to attack with.
What I'm hearing is that Old Man Toto is just an incredible monster. Yeah, just a shovel beast.
I mean, we assume that he was old for a person like 80 years old or something like that, but he's actually several thousand years old. Those shovels give him immortality.
He's an old one. He's a Lovecraftian horror.
You know what? He was the inspiration for the Shovel Knight. And he's survived ever since that game was made in the past in the One Piece universe.
Perfect. That makes perfect sense.
Exactly. He knows all about the lost century, Joel.
We just need to go ask Toto. It was in Alabasta all along. Back to Sky Island, probably.
No, not back to Sky Island, actually. Curtis, would you like a little hint of something that might be relevant in the future? All right.
I don't know how to answer this.
Yes, I would like a hint, please.
Thank you, Curtis. Thank you for being such a good sport. Gedatsu, as we saw, tried to get out of his swamp cloud by turning on his jet, and he went through the swamp. He went down.
So he launched downwards through the cloud and is probably still alive.
Yes. He is 100% still alive. He definitely fell onto the blue sea, not the white sea. I mean, he probably just fell and then his body was so heavy and dense that it went through the clouds. He is now, in fact, in Alabasta. He, in a cover story, is shown digging with Toto, and it's implied that he found something very interesting. And when I say very interesting, I think it's literally because these don't have words on them. It's just a picture, and then sometimes there's a caption, and I think it was just like an exclamation point over his head, like, oh, what is here? And we don't know what it is.
There is a very popular fan theory. Do you think you can guess?
I mean, probably.
What if there's another ocean beneath the blue sea?
The blue sea. Oh, that one's pretty good too.
Oh yeah, it's like a lava sea.
No, fans think that he dug up Pluton, what Crocodile was looking for.
Yep.
Of all the people to find it, he's probably the worst. No, Crocodile would have been the worst because he would have blown stuff up.
He would have the ultimate power. He would just start
be so careless with it.
Oh, how careless. I do think it's interesting that in the English version, he doesn't start using that phrase till the battle with Chopper, but we were reading the subtitles, and that's actually his catchphrase, and he says it like in every sentence he ever speaks. He always has at least one, oh, how careless. And I kind of like that. I hate on Gedatsu, but I kind of like that he has something he says every time he does something stupid, and he's stupid all the time, so he's constantly saying it.
Yeah, he knows that he's stupid, and he's embarrassed by it, which is honestly the correct reaction to, oh, I didn't speak out loud. Oops. Oh, no. Gedatsu is the anxiety icon we all needed.
Oh, no.
Now he's our favorite character.
I don't want to identify with him.
Tubilate.
Absolutely.
Tubilate.
Tubilate.
Everyone go out and tubilate with your long phalanges. What are those things called? Catherine, help me out. You always can read my mind. The philangers, the phalangeres.
The phalanges? Those are your fingers.
What? Okay, maybe I'm thinking of something else.
I care about the...
Wait. Tubulate is a real word, and it is provided with a tube or having the form of a tube.
Okay. Today I learned.
Tubulation then would be like the
act of
process
turning
of making it into a tube. Yeah.
It would.
Oh my god. Okay.
Today I learned.
This is all about One Piece right now.
All right. Let's go. I have one more really quick note that I thought was interesting. Some parallelism. We see Eneru say, oh, there's however many fighters left. I think it was like 56 or something. And then he electrocutes Kamakuri, and the electricity goes through the Milky Road, and it takes out a bunch of people. And he goes, okay, I just eliminated like 20 on accident. My bad. I didn't realize that the electricity was going to go out. But Aiza, in many of the scenes that we've seen with her, she freaks out every time a voice disappears. All it takes is one voice to go away, and she's like on the ground crying. And I just think that it's interesting that Eneru is so shielded away from humanity that he doesn't care when voices disappear. But Aiza, she cares very much, and she's very sensitive to it. So these two are direct parallels to each other in that way.
So Aiza is probably going to be the next god.
Okay.
She was basically born for it. She would be the best god.
Interesting.
A benevolent god.
Can you imagine a 6-year-old being your god, though?
Yeah, why not?
Could you imagine a 6-year-old being your god advised by Wiper? Oh god, everybody run.
As someone who works professionally with many 6-year-olds, no thanks.
But this is an anime where the characters sometimes have fluctuating degrees of maturity and intelligence and all those other things.
That's fair. How old do we think Aiza actually is? Because I don't think she's 6. I think she's like 10. You don't have to look it up. I'm just curious.
I think she's 8 if I had to guess.
Spoiler alert for the Umbrella Academy, a little bit late. Along this line, in the Umbrella Academy, one of the characters meets God, and they ask, aren't you just supposed to love all of us? And God's like, oh no. I don't love all of you. That'd be crazy. And also, God is a little girl riding a tricycle.
That's awesome. I think if I were going to meet God, God would probably take the form of a cat.
I mean, depends on whether God is trying to soothe you or not. But yeah, I could see that being...
Well, even if it wasn't, like, my conception of an all-powerful creature that doesn't care about your earthly desires and expects you to serve it, that's a cat. That sounds like a cat to me.
Huh. Aiza means merganser, which is a type of sea duck, continuing the trend of female characters using sharing names with birds.
Is Nami also a bird?
No, but Suru from the Navy is.
Oh, Robin is, obviously.
Yes.
Which bird is Robin?
Duck.
All right. It's clear that we are at the end of our recording session. So does anyone have any final thoughts on these episodes?
I liked them. I mentioned in a previous episode that I was ready to get into the meat of
these episodes?
Skypiea, and I think we're there.
The bone juice of these episodes?
I think the potatoes are next.
I am really enjoying seeing how the survival game turns out. I'm really enjoying Robin's discoveries. I want to know more about... Where did the gold go? Robin mentioned very briefly. She was like, I'm in the city of gold, but I don't see any gold. We also know that the Skypeans don't have any conception of what gold is, and Eneru thinks that's funny. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to shape out.
Their knowledge is so scattered. Like, they don't know what gold is. They're like, gold? I've never heard of it. But they know what a Logia devil fruit type is. And that just seems so scientific. And so, like, in the last 50 years, how long have we known the term Logia?
Maybe when Eneru showed up and took over the role of God, he went, hello, I am here, I'm God now. Also, I can turn into lightning, and that's because I have a Logia devil fruit. The devil fruits are a type of fruit that grows in the...
You see, and there's also Zoans, and there's also mythical, and then there's also blah, 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 blah. Yeah.
Did you notice that he also has gold earrings, Eneru?
Yes.
He does.
Yes.
Oh, very, very interesting. Also, really quickly, I don't think we officially said this, he fights Kamakiri, and we find out that his body is made out of lightning. But then in the scene with Loki, the female Shandorian, who's trying to stop Wiper from fighting Eneru, because you can't win, it's impossible. But we find out that his fruit is the Rumble fruit. And I really like that. I really like that his fruit is the Rumble.
Wait, whose was?
Eneru.
That's the Rumble fruit?
Yeah, like the sound that thunder makes.
Oh,
yes.
That makes sense now.
But I really like that. And I like the Japanese word for it, which is the Goro no Mi, which always makes me think that he's a Goron from Legend of Zelda, but he clearly is not. He does not roll into a ball or eat rocks.
Man, can you imagine if he did, though? That'd be great.
Oh, man, that'd be awesome.
And that's your...
Final thought.
Outro goes here. Thanks for listening. Next week we'll be covering episodes 175. No, 176, 177, 178, 179.
Let me double check that. And 180. It's another 5-episode stretch.
Sick.
Have a great week, everybody. So ends the next leg of the King of the What Now adventure. We're sad to see you go, but we'll be here next week. If you crave some social interaction with us in the meantime, you can find us on all sorts of different media. We have Gmail, Patreon, and Tumblr. All of those are KingOfTheWhatPod. KingOfTheWhatPod at gmail.com, patreon.com/KingOfTheWhatPod, KingOfTheWhatPod.tumblr.com. Our Twitter handlers are a little bit different. You can reach me at KOTWN_pod.
And you can contact me, Curtis, at Pirate Co-host. Also, please take a moment to rate and review our podcast on whatever platform you're using to listen. Not only will this help others find the podcast, but your constructive feedback will help us improve the show as we go.
Thanks so much for giving us a listen. Until next time, follow your dreams and protect your treasure.
Remember, it doesn't need to be literal treasure.